We're going to tie a fly that you've probably seen on our site a little bit lately, a couple different variations we've posted, but it's a really big, bulky streamer that uses our new bruiser blend dubbing for the head, and that's kind of the highlight of this fly, but it's called a lunch lady. I'm going to start out with an Allen B200 hook in size 6. I'm just going to dress it. Now you notice I'm using white thread on this. I'm just using Montana Fly 3/0 white thread. And you also see that we have a new toy. We have a right bobbin to tie this with. Really nice bobbin with a ceramic tip and a drag on it. Alright, for the over body of the whole fly, it's going to be brown barred zonker strip. Now this is magnum barred zonker, so it's going to be, it's going to have maximum fullness. It's going to move a lot in the water. So I'm just going to pull up some fibers, moisten them a little bit, and tie those in. Next step is I'm going to tie in some lucent chenille. This is gold UV. And the good thing about this lucent chenille is that it's really bulky, so it's going to cause a lot of water to be pushed out from the streamer, which is going to stimulate the lateral line of the fish. The next thing is just to take a piece of white schlappen and tie it in by the tip. Okay, you can see that I left a little bit of space right here by the eye of the hook because that's where I'm going to pull the zonker strip over and tie it down. Now when you're wrapping this lucent chenille, you could use the rotary feature of the vise, but you might trap down a bunch of these nice fibers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it back with each turn of chenille, and that will ensure that it flares out enough.
Let me put my material clip on there if you want.
I think we're good. And this is going to be in fast motion right here. See what I'm talking about? Nice and thick, like the lunch lady. Okay, now we're just going to take our hackle and wrap it through. And sometimes with the schlappen you kind of have to tease it out as you wrap it to make sure you don't trap down fibers. Take our trusty metal comb and just brush out some of those fibers. Okay, now we've got a super chunky fly. We're going to split the top of it just so that we can pull that zonker strip down over it. So you're going to find about where you're going to tie it in and just pull those fibers forward. Moisten if you have to. Just tie that down. If you can notice, I'm using Dr. Slick synthetic scissors. These are really good for tying these big bulky flies where you don't need a lot of super fine detail. They will cut almost anything that you put in front of them. Okay, and to make this back section bulletproof, I'm going to take some Loon UV clear finish, and I'm going to just coat the head a little bit. Alright, so the back half of the lunch lady is complete. Okay, the front half of the hook is going to be an Allen Fly Fishing B200 number 4. And the first thing we're going to do is attach some barbell eyes to it. So these are the brass barbell eyes with eyes on it from Allen Fly Fishing. And we're going to attach it not too far back, but just enough to give us a little bit of space to work in front of the eyes. And I'm going to turn those over and put some really thin super glue on those eyeballs, or in between them. Now I'm just going to take a piece of nylon coated stainless wire and run that along the hook shank and a little bit down the bend. If you run it down the bend a little bit like this, it kind of helps the back half of the hook come off more naturally. It doesn't snag quite as much. To separate the two sections, I've got two articulation beads in gator belly color, which are green on top, yellow on the bottom. Just kind of gives a nice two-tone effect to the fly, kind of like how I'm tying it. I've got the back half tied on. Now we've got a kind of a little bit of a fly hack going on here. We've got a rare earth magnet down here on our vise, and if I put it in the right spot, I can just attach that little back half to the magnet, and it will stay out of the way as I'm tying the rest of the fly. Okay, my tie-in point for the next piece of zonker is going to be right here. So I've got all this white thread. All I'm going to do is just take an olive Sharpie and just color that up. I mean, it's totally unnecessary, I think, but just to make it look pretty, I guess. You take the same zonker strip that you had before, and I've cut it to a point. Create a tie-in point and just tie that in. Alright, the front half of the body is going to be tied exactly the same way the back half was, with the lucent chenille and some schlappen. Okay, now when we pull the zonker strip over, we're going to pull it right behind those eyes and just attach it right behind the eyes. So there's our fly so far. Now we just need to do the head. Now this is what we've been pretty excited about, is our new blend of dubbing called Bruiser Blend. And we're going to show you that it's really easy to make a pretty impressive head with minimal steps. So I'm going to do the top of the head out of our brown olive color and the bottom of the head out of our cream color. So the brown olive comes out of the package just like this. It's just kind of a clump of dubbing. And so I'm going to get a clump about like this, and I'm going to start to preen it and rotate it so that all the fibers will eventually kind of go parallel to one another. Alright? I'm going to bunch it up kind of like this, and I'm going to tie that clump in right in between the eyes of the fly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'll try to do it so you can see, but I'll take the clump and just lay it on top of the eyes, and I'll come across with one diagonal loop and then another one. And that will secure the fibers pretty well. Then I'm going to pull it over and just do one wrap around the far eyeball. Okay? So that's essentially the first wrap of the head. So you can see how that all preens back. Another critical step of this is you take some super glue and just come in here and tag a little bit of super glue right in those tie-in points, and that will really help lock those fibers in place. Okay, I've gotten a similar clump of cream and I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to repeat the same step just one time over, 2 times over, and then I'm going to wrap across the second or the far eye, barbell eye. So that's what it's going to look like when it's all tied in. And now all we're going to do is 2 more clumps similar to that, just up here close to the eye of the hook. When you wrap it in, just make sure all those fibers stay right on the top of the hook shank. And do the same thing with the cream. Okay, I've got those in there with pretty snug wraps. Now this is kind of tricky, this part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the olive part, kind of preen it out, and then just lay it over the top of the fly and bring my thread straight up, and then I'm going to grab the bottom half, and with all of my fingers now I've got those pulled back. And now if I create a nice head here, it's going to push all those fibers back. Alright, so we've got a head formed there. It's going to keep all those back. Just going to whip finish and trim it. So that's essentially it. Now all we have to do is take all those fibers and comb them out. And they just blend right nice into each other. So that's the Bruiser Blend head. Now to take it a couple steps further, what I've been doing is making some bars in the head. So I'm just going to take a sepia colored Prismacolor, or you could use a brown Sharpie, and just start making some stripes. And also I'm going to color my white thread, just the top portion of it, so that it matches the rest of the fly. So after you do that, and this is a trick I learned from Charlie Craven, is if you brush out right after you color it, it kind of breaks up the barring just a little bit. And then for the bottom of this fly, I've been taking this I don't even know what color, golden yellow Copic marker, and I'm coloring the bottom of the thread head, and then just kind of coming in here and making it pretty dark up by the eye, and then just kind of fading it back. The shining star of this fly is just the head, you know, where it's going to stay pretty bulky, but it will slim down a little bit as well. But you can make a really cool looking head, really effective head in just minutes with that Bruiser Blend dubbing.